Hello, hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Off the Spotlight. Hey, it's your host with the most, your main man, Darren M. Palmer. Excited to be with you where I get the opportunity to go behind the scenes with best-selling authors from across the globe. Today we have Miss Arline Charles in the building. Say hello, Miss Arline. Say hello to the people.
Oh, hello, Darren. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here.
Awesome. Now, Miss Charles, I know about the book that you've written, but if you don't mind, could you share with our audience the name of your book and why did you write this book as your first book?
Well, the name of my book is Lady Power, a home maintenance guide for women. I wrote this book because of several reasons. About 20 years ago, when I sold my first home, it was an investment property. I decided then that I would write a book based on what I learned because it was a case where I was just thrown into it. I didn't plan to own it, it just happened. So I did that and I made that decision, but I never did anything about it for years because life happened. Then by the time I have the second home, which I'm sitting in right now, um, I decided, to look into that some more. But even more so, I started getting compliments from the workers coming here to work to do things, whether it's the boiler or the basement or the roof, whatever. All the guys that come here to work always admire the way that I know what's going on in the house and how I could relate to their side of the story. I found myself also giving advice to my female friends. They would call me, people call me, what should I do about this? What should I do about that? How do I handle this and that and the third? And then in 2019, when I got laid off, it started me thinking, and then followed, I was looking for a job. It wasn't happening. And then here comes COVID. So COVID kind of put a bullet in my foot. And I said, well, instead of looking for another job right now, with all of this shutdown, interviews were difficult. I decided to just sit down at the computer and started writing this book. I made an outline and then I sat at the computer twice a week for 2 hours for over a 2 month period. And then I had a manuscript. And now here we are talking about this book today.
That is phenomenal. And I look at where you have come from with this book and to get it done. And you brought up something in your journey that I think is important for those who are listening to this. Miss Charles took something, you have to be selfless to do a book. You notice that her desire to help other people, she could have sat on that information. She didn't have to share it, but it's innate in her to give back, to pay it forward. If she knows something that could be helpful to someone, to be a blessing for someone, she doesn't hesitate to go out there and actually find a way to assist that person in whatever matters that she can. And I want those of you who are thinking about creating content, and you might find yourself what they call writer's block, or you're dealing with issues when it comes to creating content. Look at some of those things that you are doing naturally. Look at areas that people are asking you about, or you find yourself assisting people, or something that could be a pet peeve of yours, where you're just like, why wouldn't they just do this? See, you are solution oriented. And so many times we think that we gotta create something to go to the moon or go to Mars, but it's some experiences that you've already been through, some things that you have already actually had fell in a mess or had your prodigal son moment, what I like to call it, and you've been able to come back to the rightful place, and you can help others avoid those spots or be able to cut the learning curve in half. Do you agree with that, Ms. Charles?
I
About
do, because the book so far has been doing very well. I've been promoting the book as an autographed copy because of the pandemic, and the ability to not be able to get around as much to do book signings. So I started selling the book as autographed copies, which brings most of that sale process to me, which is what we want to do. But also, the book has empowered so many women on what they can do in their homes. I've had people so empowered, they've beaten up family members to buy this book. And I've even had men buy the book and tell me, they are going to use this book to renovate their homes or to manage projects for the summer. I've gotten so many positive feedback from my audience. And then, needless to say, I started getting reviews. So I have a friend who is an editor of a magazine. It's the Caribbean magazine for New York. And that friend came by here and picked up a copy. And he intended to pass it off to one of his writers to do the review on the book. But it just so happened that the person that he shares his residence with picked up the book on the nightstand and started reading. And so he asked, "What are you doing with this book?" And the person said, "Didn't you read it? This thing is so good, you have to read it." So he ended up reading it and did his own review. And it was published in March for Women's Month. And, it was just amazing that he came back and said, the book is not just for women, it's for men too, which is one of the things that I stress in the introduction of the book. So men can use it. And I've had people working on my home this very year. 2 plumbers have come by here to work and bought my book. One bought it sight unseen. He didn't even see the book. He just looked at me the way that I took him around the boiler to do what he had to do, to cut off the water here, and showed him how stuff is tagged. And he said, "Here's the money, go upstairs and get me a book." I said, "But you didn't even see it. You didn't." He said, "Lady, I know you know what you're doing. So just give me a book. I'm going to read it and I'm passing it on to my lady so she can handle herself when I'm not home." So that's what this book has been doing, is empowering people to do some of the things that they never thought they could do, or how to manage contractors and plumbers, workers coming to the home. It's just a really great tool.
And you know what? I want to stress this for a lot of business owners, and especially those who are realtors and brokers. I think that this would be a great gift. I'm not just saying this just to say it. This is just the truth. Get this for some families and give them gifts or whatnot. Yeah, you can give them fruit baskets and all of that, but this is a gift that keeps on giving. By being able to have a gift basket or something and include this book as a resource, this would be beneficial for those homeowners who will find themselves in a situation where they can go back to this as a resource to dive into it. This isn't just a read one time and don't go back. You can take time, like, okay, I'm dealing with this plumbing issue, or you know what, we need to get some new tile. Whatever the situation is, how should we go about doing this? And you can pick up nuggets out of this book that could be beneficial. So I just want those out there who are listening to this, find creative ways to serve people. Like we brought up earlier, it's not just about the author alone. For those of you all who are consumers or looking at a good book to buy, it's not just about you getting the book. Who can you gift this to? Who can you give this to? If you got some young people at the time of this recording, a lot of graduations are happening. Some people find themselves being on their own, first-time home buyers, or having their own apartment. These are things that are beneficial for all those who could benefit from it. Now, I want to ask you this, Ms. Arline, because I've seen you accomplish so many things, and I always share in our office the whole nine. You're an inspiration. Everybody, my kids know your name. My mom know your name. Everybody know Miss Arline Charles. So, because I talk about you so much. But can you share about when we see this spirit of yours? Can you share with people that you didn't allow for our age or a role for as a title in the company to define you? Can you share a little bit about things like about your fitness and other areas, how you serve in the community, how you keep on moving forward to help people? Can you share that too as well?
Sure. I feel blessed, and I'm very fortunate to have a church community. And in that church community was born a group called Spartan Sundays. And the coach is a fellow author with self-publishing for 30 days as well. And he is a physical therapist and our personal fitness trainer. The assistant coach is the running coach. So both of these guys got together, put their heads together like 10 years ago and formed this group. I was not originally a member of the group because I was busy taking care of my mom and my stepdad. But 5 years ago, when my mom died, I decided to go down to the church to see what these guys are doing because I had nothing to do now on Sundays. My mom was gone. I also live a joyful life. I go to shows, I sing, I take voice lessons. I just have to be happy all the time because I'm not going to let anything hold me back. So by joining this Spartan Sundays, on top of being in the choir, being on a praise team at a second church, all of the ministry that I do in the community, even just across the street, I started doing a Spartan race. So it was fitness first. And then everybody was like, try the race, try the race. So we went to Boston, we did a Spartan race. As of today, I have finished 6 Spartan obstacle course races. These are military style races. And I've done over 20 road races. As a matter of fact, I have one scheduled for Father's Day. I will be running in honor of my dad on Father's Day. He's long gone since 2003. So because my goal is to do 5 half marathons this year, I've already done 2. I've done the New York City half and the Shape half, all within 4 weeks. I did those 2 in 4 weeks. In 1 month, I did 2 half marathons. I'm not even supposed to be doing half marathons according to my doctor, but I do them. So it's not just half marathons. I do smaller races as well, but I stay fit. I work out, I do yoga, I do Zumba. I have a physical activity almost every day of the week, if unless I skip something. But pretty much, yeah, I keep pretty busy, and I still manage to get this project done in between all of that.
Awesome, awesome. And for those who don't know, and you don't have to say everything, Miss Charles, but let them know you're a little bit past 50.
I am. Part of a 50 plus community. Let's leave it at that.
There you go. And I wanted to share that with people because some would look and you can say, oh, well, no, this isn't somebody that's 20 years old or 30 years old or 40 years old or 50. And so I just want those to hear that. That's why it's so amazing, the work that she does. But I'm also bringing this up to bring home the point of transferable. This is who she is. So this transferred from what she was already doing before she even did the book. This transferred of her giving and her sowing into the lives of others has shown itself again by her doing the book. So this didn't just start with the book with her giving back and helping out with contractors. She's doing this in other areas of her life. That's what I call symbiotic flows of impact. Wherever you have enough symbiotic flows of impact, it intersects with income. But for one, it's the right heart. So I want those of you who are thinking about embarking on this journey and being authors to learn from Miss Arline of the importance of giving back. Keep going, being a motivation yourself. Don't just lay there. Don't just sit there and feel sorry for yourself. You have to choose joy, And so with that being said, Miss Arline, if you don't mind, share with those out there who might be down and don't know how they're going to get started to do book. Can you give some inspiration to those out there to let them know that they can do it too?
Well, it's really not that difficult. For me, I thought the editing portion was harder than actually putting the initial manuscript together because you don't know what you're going to face at first. So it was just a matter of documenting the experience. The first thing I did was to write up an outline with different topics. I just did a brain dump, right? And then once I started writing, I would pick one of the topics. I didn't try to put the book in order because I knew I was going to hire a company to help me do that. I did some of it, but I just started writing. I would pick a topic. So one day I would write about the roof. Another time I'd write about the boiler. Another time I wrote about landscaping and then vegetable gardening. So I just took it in pieces with each sit down. Sometimes I would sit for 2 or 3 hours, depends on how interesting it was going. And then once I got that done, I called you and I said, okay, I'm ready. And you said to me, do you have a manuscript? And I did. By that time, I had started moving things around, putting stuff in order, table of contents, this, that, and the third. And then it started happening. And then it was like, okay, this is really going to be happening. And you said something to me. You said this is going to change the rest of your life. And that's exactly what has happened. Now, I didn't stop coaching my friends. I continued to coach. And actually, by continuing to coach, I got more material for that first book and had leftovers for a second book that's in the making right now. So it's really not that hard. And then I think the most important point is to recognize that you can't do it alone, that you need a team of people, which I got from your company. You need your editor, you need your concierge, you need your designers, you need all this kind of stuff because you cannot do it all yourself. Even though I have a creative background, I still leaned heavily on your company to give me that finish that I wanted for my cover. Okay, and then you have to do the photo shoot if you want a photo on the cover, which I did kind of different. And you helped me create a caricature, which I love caricatures. I have about seven more other than yours. Um, so it's a process. It takes some time. It takes patience. It takes investment of time to get this done. It's don't think of it as something hard to do. I have people tell me, "Oh, that must have been difficult," and I was like, "No, it was a lot of fun because of the mindset. If you tell yourself that it's going to be difficult, it's going to be difficult. If you said, "Oh, this is going to be fun," you're going to make it fun. You stop and you exercise in between and you come back later. So, and then you talk to people, interview people, and do some primary and secondary research and just get all that information together. So I would say if you have something like that brewing out there in the audience, just get started.
That's it. That's it. You get more on your way than you do when you start. And so that's what Miss Arline is sharing with us, of the importance of that. And I think what she brought up too that was interesting, and I think some people miss this, the power of your tongue. It's what you say is going to be. So like Miss Arline shared, if you are down in the dumps, if you Debbie Downer, if you come up with, oh, this is hard, it's like you're doing a dissertation and it's like you pulling teeth, then that's what the experience is going to be. But if you choose joy, if you choose to look at it as, hey, I'm able to create something that's going to outlive me, this is a legacy piece, I'm able to help someone, then you'll be able to have the patience or whatnot to be able to knock it out and do the things that you need to do. But I want to bring this up too, Miss Arline, because when you look at investment of time, you also invested monetarily. And so I don't want to give people all this hope and we give them sugar cubes on their ears or whatnot, all this glory stuff about the book. But Miss Arline invested to get the book done. And so I'm bringing this up because you got to ask yourself, when it comes to do a book, we're not telling you what's right or wrong for you, but you got to understand, if you can't tell it or not, Miss Arline is a woman of excellence. She just don't do or deal with anything. She is the type of person, she executes, she do what she said, she does what she says she's going to do. So that's how she lives her life. And so when it came to her putting out a book, she didn't want just any kind of book. She didn't want it to be halfway done. She didn't want it to be, excuse my French, she didn't want it to be a hot mess. Now, some people are perfectly fine with just saying that they did a book and everybody can tell they did the book themselves. So I want those who are out there, you got to decipher and think to yourself, okay, what am I a person of excellence? Or am I a person just trying to throw something and get something done? Because when you start reaching out and asking, what is a budget? What should I be doing? It's really about, what do you want? If you want excellence, then you need to be able to invest for excellence. If you're just trying to throw something together to say that you got a book done, then I wouldn't say you need to invest for excellence. So can you share that, Ms. Arline, of your thought process as far as knowing that you wanted excellence for your book and moving forward and making the investment, because you did it, of time and money, you did both.
Well, I'll use a quote from my current contractor. He says, "Miss Charles, everything you do is 5-star." And it kind of goes with my background because I used to sell hotels and convention centers for a living years ago. So you have your 3-star, your 2-star, your 4 and 5-star hotels. I like to be at the top at all times. And I've been known to produce things top level, top notch all the way. If I do a coordinate a wedding or I do a church project, people know what to expect. Those who know me know what to expect. They expect a mark of excellence. So I knew at first, really, if I'll be truthful, I thought I was just gonna put something together and put it on Amazon. And then when I found out about your company and the process, that quickly changed my mind. I didn't even know how much money it was going to cost, and it really didn't matter. I knew what I wanted. So I didn't even flinch. When you asked me, are you ready to sign this and do this? Yeah, it was yes. It didn't take, what, half an hour for us to get that contract going because I knew what I wanted to do. So yes, you do have to spend some money. Each person's product is going to be a different price or different because of the services you may need. And I also want to say that it's very important to have the right process because there are people who write books and they edit it themselves and do everything themselves and it's not done properly. And then they have to take it down and it's a waste of money. Or you publish with the wrong company and you get 200 or 300 copies and then you have nothing, you cannot replenish because you spent so much money up front. I am able to order one book if I want. If somebody just wants one book, if I want to travel and get 12 books at a hotel, I can have it shipped there. My system with your help is so well set that I have all this flexibility. So it was the initial investment was for the book. And then of course you have to declare a business account at the bank. So that was a second investment. And then once the money starts coming in from the sales, you start recouping. And then at some point, you will break even and then start making a profit. It's not going to happen overnight. Like I said, this process needs patience because you also have to have a marketing plan, before you get the book to market, which is, I'm always revising my marketing plan, always.
And that's amazing too. Like you said, it's an ongoing process. It's just like I like to share with people. It's just like if you start a business, if you have children, if you have a ministry, if you are part of a civic organization, it's not one meeting for that civic organization and you never meet again. I mean, it's ongoing. At least if it's not weekly, it's at least a monthly type basis of whatnot to keep life in that organization. And that's the same way that it is when it comes to your books or whatnot, whether it's marketing your book, understanding if you at a certain phase, things that you can do to just rejuvenate your audience by things that you can bring up. Even what we're doing right now, having this interview, these are things that keep the book in the forefront of people's minds. And it also opens up other opportunities when it comes to something far as, general contractors or homes or whatever it may be. Now, all of a sudden, Ms. Arline's name is in the hat, so to speak, of local TV stations or those who are on podcasts, or if it's panel discussions or things that's in the community, it allows for you to separate yourselves from others in a good way. So now all of a sudden you're able to speak your voice and be the voice of others who might be unheard, who won't get out, who are not a part of those organizations. You can speak to the needs of people who aren't heard typically on a normal basis. Now, Ms. Arline, I want you to share a little bit too, when we look at some opportunities. Can you share, before when we were offline, you shared about an opportunity of you being able to speak to some people from another country. Can you share a little bit about that if you don't mind?
Well, yeah. I've been at home for 5 years, haven't traveled anywhere for 5 years. And I had the opportunity to go to South Africa. It started off as a vacation. It's supposed to be just a quick vacation. I started asking questions of the host, and then I found out that there was an opportunity for me to present my book, and the attendance was over 600 people, mostly women. And it went very well. I got to present. As a matter of fact, it was so funny because I was from the United States. They sort of treated not just me, but the 5 of us who went, we were like celebrities. We were in Johannesburg. We were like celebrities. Oh, these are the people from America. Everybody wanted to take photos with us. And on top of people looking at me as an author and an expert, then we had this newfound fame. All 5 of us, everybody was flocking us to take pictures with us. I don't know who has my photos over there. All I know is that I left copies of this book over there with them all autographed with one of the pastors to distribute the books and to get the sales. And it was just really exhilarating that there were other authors. It was an author's corner. So at a gala banquet on that Saturday night, last Saturday night of March, and I want to tell you, the other authors were running to me, oh, you wrote this and you wrote that, and asking questions about the process. It was just very interesting how that went over because I totally was not expecting it. I did not expect to be working on the vacation, but it ended up being work. And then, meeting with people afterwards and the follow-up, because when I came back, we sent out emails. So it just went really, really well. And this came right after I did my virtual book launch. And so it's just been really great. It's been really great. I literally, let me add something else. I can hardly go anywhere without a copy of the book. When I go to the post office, I sold one to a lady at the post office. She works there. And then when I went back, she wasn't available and she came back from lunch and I was on the line with an associate of hers. And she started talking about the book. And then the lady said, well, where's mine? And I didn't have any extras. So now, even if I go to church, I got to walk with 1 or 2 books. I cannot go anywhere without this book because people literally hijack me when they hear about the book, or maybe I have these bookmarkers. So when I give them a, well, do you happen to have one on you? So I could get cash for the book right there if I have it on me. So I've literally been walking with the book wherever I go. Whether I have orders or not, I literally take at least 2 copies with me when I go places. I just haven't been able to go anywhere without it. They have that old American Express commercial, don't leave home without it. Well, that's what has happened to me with this book.
That's phenomenal just to hear that. And, on the latter part of just leaving, that's a note for those out there who are already authors too as well. I share that with people. You don't know who you will meet, whether it's at a local grocery store, whether it's at your local church, whatever. You could be at your kid's soccer game. It's no telling who you will meet who want an opportunity to get that book. So definitely keeping some books on hand. And you might meet an influencer or somebody of notoriety, and you might want to gift the book to someone or pour into someone with it. So keeping those books on hand definitely is part, and that's a marketing tip right there that Miss Arline just gave you all for free that you all need to benefit from. But I want to go back a little bit to what you brought up of the trip and being in South Africa and some of the things that happened. Now, for some of those who know, yes, I've been blessed to be able to, found this company, Self-Publishing 30 Days. But that's why you see me speak with conviction. Because when I'm talking to a person, it's not a sales pitch. It's just the truth. This is the stuff that you can't make up, like what Miss Arline just shared. Being in South Africa, like paparazzi, her book is in other countries. It's making an impact. She's trying to have a vacation, and now all of a sudden, she's over there like Michael Jackson or something, or Justin Bieber for a younger audience out there. Other authors from that country and other authors from other places or whatnot, even from the United States, who were they're asking her questions. See, this is the type of stuff, if you try to tell people that before they do the book, now they thinking to themselves, now, I want to do the book. You ain't got to sell me on the book. But this is what we know that happens. So when we see someone show up, that's why we have the passion that we have. Because when you operate in your purpose, it leads to passion, which fuels you, and it allows for you to profit. That's monetarily and also profit by seeing other people's lives being transformed for the good. And I just want to share that for some of you out there who are thinking to yourself, I don't know if I should do it. You have to, it's a labor of love, like what Miss Arline shared. But I'm telling you, it's the gift that keeps on giving. You can't make this up on the opportunity. So it's beyond just a $20 book. You can't deem the success of the book. Not saying you're not gonna have sales, but it's the doors that it opens up. Like, look at that experience what Miss Arline had in South Africa. Like, you can't pay for that. Like, you can't make that up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't make that up. Now, it's one thing to be at a Barnes and Nobles. That's cool. But being in another country, speaking, your book is still left over there with other pastors, it's still making an impact, and you global with it. I mean, you can't make that up. Do you agree with that, Miss Arline?
I do. I mean, and I just want to go back a little bit and mention something. Even when I was leaving South Africa on the plane, I ended up on the aisle seat with a gentleman at the window, and there was an empty seat between us. And he asked me, well, questions about my trip, and of course, talk about the book. Well, do you have one that I could see? That was his response. I want to see this book. I had to go up top and take the book, the last one I had. I had to go up top and get the book so this man could see the book. But he couldn't get it because I ended up having to give it to somebody else. We went to another part of South Africa in Cape Town. So it was just funny that this started out, like I said, as a vacation and ended up being so much more, impacting so many more people. And it will continue to do so because I'm still in touch. I made a lot of contacts over there. I'm still in touch with those folks. And I'm planning to return, or at least they're planning to invite me back for another conference. It was a women's conference. So it's just amazing. So, thinking about the process, don't think about it, just do it. Just get it done. Take my word for it. It's really not bad. It could be a lot of fun.
Miss Arline, it's been a pleasure having you on today. It's always a joy for me to be able to connect with you. And if they know like I know, it's a no-brainer to have you back in South Africa, any other parts of the world, for those who are listening around the world, reach out to Miss Arline. And if you don't mind, we're going to have this information in the show notes when this actually airs, Miss Arline. But do you have a place where they can find you, whether on social media or the website, or that you want them to go to purchase the book? Can you share that with them?
Yes, I can be found on Instagram, and the handle is at Lady Power Book. On Facebook, it's Lady Power AC. My email is ladypowerac@gmail.com. And the website is ladypowerbook.com. So you can reach me any one of those places. I respond to all messages, and just reach out for whatever questions you may have, and I will surely get back to you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we had the one and only Miss Arline Charles on today. It's been a pleasure having you on. I know you all who are listening to this, you all are blessed, because I know I'm blessed hearing it. Now, a lot of this stuff I've already known. I've been able to work with Miss Arline on it, but I'm still just like, I forget that I'm doing an interview. I'm over here on mute listening to it. I'm just engaged and intrigued with the story, just like I had never heard it. I'm like a kid in a candy store when I get to hearing it again. I'm just like, oh man, wow, I didn't know this is some stuff I hadn't heard because I hadn't talked to her. So I didn't realize about that. And I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, look at this, look what's happening. And so it just does, it just do good to my heart to have joy, because I love to see other people winning. And I'm excited too, because I know through the life of Miss Arline, it's so many people out there in the world who are thinking, I can do it. Those who are throwing in a towel because you think your age. Those who think because of your gender, because you're a woman. Those who might think something because of the color of your skin, or what region or what part of the world you're in. You think that you're limited. Miss Arline is a testament to all of us of what the power of what God can do through someone, but you have to choose life. You have to choose life. You got to do it. God can't do it for you. You got to choose life yourself. And to me, when I see Miss Arline and what she does, she exemplifies life to the fullest, abundant life. And also she pours that into other people. So regardless of who you are, regardless of your nationality, we'll have to talk about that at another time. You know, this, she helps people from literally around the world, whether it's someone from Russia, South Africa, you know, a good old Southern old boy from Texas. Y'all might hear the Southern drawl like Tim McGraw. I mean, she's constantly blessing people. And so I think that's somebody that we should look up to as an example of what it is to live life and have it more abundantly. So Miss Arline Charles, we salute you, Queen. We thank God for you, and we're looking forward to what God is going to do with you right now and in the future too as well. Whatnot. But before we go out, though, Miss Arline, part and piece of advice that you would like to leave with someone. Just part and piece of advice.
Parting advice. Oh my goodness. It's really simple. If you have a story to tell, or you may have some poems you've been writing, you have this inspiration that you have hidden in a diary somewhere, or you have an autobiography that could really bless someone and make a difference in someone's life, even if it's just one person, it's worth you sitting down, making that outline, and start writing that book. Seize the opportunity now, especially since we're still somewhat in a pandemic. You know, some of us don't have jobs. Use that time to write something. Put your dreams down on paper or on the computer, technically speaking, and just make it happen. And the rest will just flow. Once you get it started, it'll flow, because there are a lot of people out there. I have people right now giving me ideas of what my next book should be, although it's already decided. People say, well, then they say, well, okay, then that's book number 3 then. You should write about this, you should write about that. Once you get started, you'll be surprised how people come at you with ideas. They give you marketing ideas, things you did not think about. It will start flowing, and you will end up blessing so many people and helping so many people that you would be surprised.
Awesome. Well, y'all heard it from Miss Arline. Remember that if you won't change, be the change. Until next time, be blessed. And remember, this is the year for your new book.